global crisis, Donald Trump is as clear as he can be. The United States, the NATO alliance, the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and more are united in condemning Vladimir Putin and his military aggression against Ukraine. Donald Trump, still very much the leader of the Republican Party, has a very different take. Listen.
And I said, this is genius. Putin declares a big portion of Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. That's the strongest peace force I've ever seen. There were more army tanks than I've ever seen. They're going to keep peace all right. No, but think of it. Here's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well. Very, very well.
There was a time in American politics, not all that long ago, that would be disqualifying. Let's discuss. With me to share their reporting and their insights, CNN's Nia Malika Henderson, Jackie Kucinich of the Daily Beast, and Vivian Salama from the Wall Street Journal. Ronald Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Donald Trump is inviting Vladimir Putin to rebuild it. Calls him a genius at this moment, says his plan is genius at this moment. I'm not wrong, am I, that if you roll back the tape, say, to 2015, anytime before that, that would be disqualifying in American politics. It would also be disqualifying to try to steal an election, mind you. But that's nuts.
Well, it's misinformed, for starters. The former president needs a little bit of a history lesson as far as what these Russian peacekeeping forces tend to do. They're anything but peacekeeping forces the majority of the time. And so, that's just sort of the starting line there. But, obviously on a broader issue, one of the most bipartisan issues right now in Washington is the fact that Russian aggression cannot be tolerated. And the former president is out there really trying to be an agitator, which he has always tried to do. But with regard to Vladimir Putin in particular, he has always kind of expressed some sort of intrigue with the strongman approach that he's taken, even if lives are at stake and the sovereignty of an independent nation is at stake. It doesn't seem to concern him as much as just this interesting, bold move.
Right. The old guard of the Republican Party may be pushing President Biden to say, be even tougher, be even tougher, be even tougher. But they want him to stand up to Putin, and they might be saying Biden's not tough enough. That's one debate to have. But listen to here, again, one of the leaders of this new piece of the Republican Party hosts a primetime show on another network, and he says this.
As an American, what's in this for me and my neighbors and the rest of us? And all I'm getting is that we can feel morally satisfied because we hate Putin.
What's in this for me and my neighbors and the rest of us? So it's okay for Vladimir Putin to steal a democratic country? Can she then next time take Taiwan and then Iran can do whatever it wants to?
And it's not just Tucker Carlson. You hear sentiments from people like J.D. Vance, who of course is running for Senate in Ohio. You hear similar comments that Putin is a great man from people like former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. This is the Trump effect. Trump adores Vladimir Putin. He admires him. He admires his anti-democratic ways. He admires that he is a strongman and hard on the press and hard on all sorts of minority groups in Russia. And listening to a former president say that, it's jarring and it's really sad. To think about where the Republican Party is, where Donald Trump is leading it to, and the fact that people are getting on board with this Trump.
And there's a fine line. There is an isolationist part of the Republican Party that has been there and has expanded over the last couple of years. But there's not even a fine line, a bright line between rooting for Putin, like rooting for his strategy, and saying that the United States shouldn't be involved in any more foreign conflicts. And it seems like they're trending much more to rah-rah strongman to an actual coherent foreign policy belief.
Right. It's not America first. It's America alone, in the sense that what you're hearing from Trump there at the beginning was essentially he flipped the bird at NATO throughout his entire presidency, and he's doing it again there. The European Union, NATO alliance. No, Putin's good. The West is bad. That's what he's saying.
It's a disconnect from the realities of sort of the national security concerns that the U.S. should be facing. He mentioned the southern border there, which is obviously a concern to the current administration as well as the past. But to not then equate that with what's happening in Eastern Europe and the fact that our NATO allies are under threat, that their borders are under threat, that the sovereignty of an ally has come under threat, and also the fact that we have under Article 5 a commitment to support NATO allies. He sort of threw that playbook out the window a long time ago, and he's very different from presidents even within his party.
And he wants to come back and lead his party yet again. Up next for us, some brand new CNN reporting.